What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another Hasbro Star Wars The Vintage Collection market update. And I think that everything that I'm showing in this batch of items were auctions. And that's what I'm recommending to folks right now for anything, whether it's vintage Kenner, vintage collection, or graded comics, graded trading cards, whatever it is you collect. Try to look for auctions right now because it seems like the market is a little bit weak for all collectibles and you can find some pretty good deals. Some of these did go a little higher than I expected, but a lot of them did go for great prices. As always, thank you to my Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up to get early access to all my videos. Let's dig in. We got a foil VCO4 Luke Skywalker Bespin, and this was a great deal. This one sold for $43 in an auction plus $7.85 shipping. The card looked to be in pretty good shape overall, just some very, very light edge wear. But that just shows you, I mean, for a foil Luke Bespin, I know it's not the rarest thing in the world, but you know, you're talking about $50 for that, and I thought that was a pretty great price. Next up was a Boba Fett unpunched US card with the Revenge of the Jedi logo. This one was obviously the retail release with the prototype Fett offer. It looked to be in pretty fantastic condition, and this one sold down in Australia for 255 Australian dollars, which equates to about 173 US dollars plus shipping. And again, I think that's a pretty fair price. We've seen these kind of sell for around that price, 175 or so. You might go up to 200 if it looked super clean, but I think for the US card especially, Revenge of the Jedi retail release for Boba Fett VCO9, I think that 175 is the price target to aim for. Next up, this was another really good deal. This is the rocket firing Boba Fett mail away VCPO3. And again, this card looked to be in pretty great shape overall. Just some, I mean, I'm talking very minute edge wear to it, but overall it looked very, very clean. $84 plus $7.85 shipping. That might be the cheapest price I've seen for VCPO3 outside of the shipper box in a long time. I thought that was just a fantastic price. I didn't look at all these items too closely when it came to condition, so just keep that in mind. But you know, if you can aim for $84 for a near mint minus, or even a near mint plus example of VCPO3, that's a really, really low price in my opinion. Same with Boba Fett in the prototype armor VC61. This was another unpunched example, and again in very, very clean condition overall. I'm trying to look at these photos as I go through it, but I mean, look how clean that one is. That's very, very clean condition. And that one sold for 172 Australian dollars, 117 US dollars. Again, that's a really great price, especially if you're down in Australia and you're watching this. That gives you a nice price target there because your shipping is going to be quite a bit less than for those of us in the US. But 117, I mean, both of the Fetts, these two Fetts, I think went well below market value. The Revenge of the Jedi Fett probably went right at market value. So pretty good deals out there. Jango Fett, another unpunched US card. And this one's kind of all over the place in terms of price. And it was, you know, it was okay. It wasn't perfect. It had some dings here and there, as you can see by the hanger tab and on the left-hand side below the ages 4 and up. But even that one still sold for $152.50. And, I mean, think back to last year, right? This was going for almost $300. So about half the price now for a near mint minus condition Jango Fett. Anakin Skywalker, this was a punched example. Anakin Skywalker name pill, obviously the Darth Vader name pill is another one. This one sold for $83. So this one, you know, it looks like it had some kind of minor wear there by the proof of purchase, but you know, again, probably near mint minus condition, and for $83, can't beat that price. This one went a little higher than I expected. This is the Clone Trooper VC15 on the Ultimate Galactic Hunt foil US card. And that one sold in an auction as well for $300. So a big number there. It was case fresh, as the seller noted in the title for the eBay auction. But look how clean that one was. And it seemed, maybe it's just me, but it doesn't seem like this one pops up that much on eBay. This is the first time I've seen this one in a while. And I guess there was some pent-up demand because it did sell for big money, $300 on 32 bids. General Grievous, again, this is a punched example, but you know, even punched examples were kind of hovering $100 to $125, $200 to $225 for an unpunched example of VC17. And this one sold for $85, $85, really good shape overall. I mean, these prices are really great, and that's why I'm telling you. I mean, you just gotta, as tempting as it is to hit that buy it now button, I would only recommend hitting that buy it now button in a buy it now situation if that price is super good. Like we've talked about VC44, Luke Dagobah landing. There's been a couple that were listed like $100 to $110, which is, in my opinion, kind of below market. If you see a near mint plus example for 100 or 110 bucks, and you know it's really going for 150 to 175, if not higher, then yeah, buy it now. It makes sense. But for something like this, I mean, they're just coming up so regularly right now on eBay and auctions that it just doesn't make sense. Next up is the MagnaGuard. This one, again, is a punched example. We've talked about how expensive that unpunched example is. $420 for an ungraded, if memory serves. Over $800 for a graded unpunched example. But this punched example sold for 71 bucks. I mean, I've seen as high as $125 for a punched example, so that's a pretty good deal. Clone Commander Cody, there were two that sold. This one sold for $137.51. Again, the U.S. card and punched, but, you know, Clone Commander Cody is one that has held up really well in price, but still a pretty good deal. And unpunched, we've talked about how expensive those are. This one was in pretty great shape overall. And then here was a graded one. So I want to show you this because it's a great comparison. This one was ungraded. It sold for $137 plus $7.85 shipping. And then this one sold over in the UK. It was a UKG 85% that sold for not much more. It sold for $176. Now, again, the global shipping program was 50 bucks for those of us in the US. But if you're in the UK, I mean, that just shows you how inexpensive it is for a very, a fairly high grade example. It was 85, 90 were the subscores for an overall 85 versus this ungraded example in the US. So you guys in the UK are getting some pretty good deals out there if you have the money. Although I know that the UK is struggling right now with high inflation and, high mortgage rates and everything else. But that was a really good deal for a graded example of Clone Commander Cody on the US card. Next up, Clone Commander Gree, or just Commander Gree. This one had the backpack next to his head. And I want to give a shout out to Ryan. He mentioned that there's two different packaging examples, one with a backpack next to his head, and I guess one elsewhere. I couldn't find one with the other packaging. That was a recent sale, but this one was an unpunched example. But there are two different packaging variations for that backpack inside the blister. That one sold for $128.50. So now's a really good time. I mean, this is one that I was like, I really want to get this one. I love the card art on it, and I actually love that scene in Kashyyyk where this guy meets his demise, but this is one I don't have, and it seems like now's a really good time to pick it up when you can pick up a pretty good example unpunched for $128.50. That's about half the price of or less of where this one was going for last year. Next up was a Slave Leia. This one did have some condition issues. You can see some litho wear all around the card edges, and there's a litho tear by the racetrack on the bottom right-hand corner of the card back. Again, it's a punched example, and that one's still sold in an auction for $250. So Slave Leia is still not gone down in price for what I would call, I don't even know if this qualifies as a near mint minus example, given the litho tear and the edge wear. But that one's still sold in an auction, only one bid for $250. So very expensive for VC64. And likewise, we talked about how the Blu-ray deleted scenes version of the Sandstorm Princess Leia continues to go up in price, and this one is no exception. This one, I think, might be the highest price I've seen here recently for an unpunched example on the U.S. card. It sold in an auction for $162.50. I was thinking like $125 to maybe $140 at the top end, but $162.50 plus $10 shipping on that one. So that one's really creeping up for near mint plus condition examples. Next up is the Republic Trooper, the original issue, not the re-release, unpunched on the U.S. card. That one sold for $91. $91. What a steal of a deal. I mean, I cannot believe how much this one has dropped. I mean, I know it was going to drop because, Hasbro re-released it last year, I guess it was. It might have even been 2 years ago now. I mean, it just seems like it's been a while. But $91, that's well below where this one used to sell. And a pretty good buy if you're looking for the original issue. Next up, we had the Zuckuss and Forlom Con Edition. This was 2010, and it did say read the description, and it says factory sealed, double boxed, and you can see there it's still factory sealed for $102.50. I mean, remember when this one was going for over $200 or $300? This one and the Librarian, I forgot, Jocasta Nu, Those two box sets for a hot minute there were going for like $200 plus. But that's a great deal. For 102.50, I mean, you're basically getting uncirculated Forlom and Zuckuss for $50 each, maybe $60 each after shipping. I mean, that's a great buy. Great buy there for one that was going for double that price not that long ago. Next up, I think this might be the only graded item, but this was an uncirculated 9.25 Mohawk from the Phantom Menace, one of the pod racers. This one sold for $130 plus $20 shipping, so $150 on that one. And this Seller Power Droid is one we've talked about in the past. He does have some other really nice TVC 1.0 that are all AFA graded, very high grade. So if you're looking for some of these kind of off-the-wall secondary characters, go check out Power.Droid on eBay because he does have quite a few listed right now. This is the only one that I've seen that's sold, but he's got a few others. Some vehicles to finish things off. We've got the Target exclusive original issue Imperial TIE Fighter. That one sold for $99.99 plus $20 shipping, so let's call it $120 in an auction, only one bid. And then the Rebel Armored Snowspeeder sold by the same seller. This one went for big money, $181.25 plus $20 shipping, so almost $200 on that one. And you know, it sounds like a lot, but that's about where this one's going right now, is about $200 shipped for the Target exclusive Rebel Armored Snowspeeder in the TVC packaging. And then finally, we had the Mouse Droid, and I wanted to point this one out because I know a number of you are like, this is like a holy grail for me, and it's so expensive usually. Well, this one did have some condition issues. This one had, let's see, it had a crease right there at the top of the hang tab. So it wasn't a color breaking crease, maybe a slight color breaking crease, but you know, it was not perfect, right? This is probably at best an 80 grade, but this is a good option for those of you who maybe don't want to spend, you know, $550, $600 for a near mint plus condition one for the Mouse Droid. This is that SDCC pack-in, I guess, for the Death Star. This one sold for $325 in an auction, so well below what near mint plus conditions examples go for. So you can still find, you know, if you're willing to live with the defects, this is a pretty good option. $325 plus $10 shipping is not a bad deal for the Mouse Droid, because we all know how expensive the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb and Jar Jar Binks and Carbonite have become. And somebody got, you know, a pretty good deal on one that had some condition issues. Anyway, that's all I really had for this video. Happy toy hunting for those of you out there looking for your next vintage collection purchase. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.